Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive, where we slice through information overload to bring you the most fascinating insights and those unexpected aha moments.
That's right.
Today, we're plunging into a world that's, well, it's captivating and honestly, at times, profoundly unsettling.
Definitely unsettling.
We're talking about the realm of clairvoyance and mediumship seen through the life of one remarkable individual, Krzysztof Jackowski. Our journey today is guided by some really compelling excerpts from an interview he gave. It was on the Świat Gwiazd YouTube channel.
Yeah, very open interview.
Incredibly open. He shares his personal journey, his unique methodology, and frankly, some truly mind-bending predictions for our future. Our mission today is clear. We want to extract the key insights from his story, really try to understand the phenomenon he represents, and explore the profound implications of abilities like these. We'll be connecting the dots. How does one person's gift interact with the world? From his own personal struggles, the real emotional costs, to these startling global forecasts that have, well, kind of eerily, a track record of accuracy.
It's quite the track record.
It really is. This isn't just about what he sees, but maybe what his experiences tell us about perception, about reality, maybe even our own hidden potentials.
Absolutely.
So get ready, because even in dense, mysterious topics like this one, there are always surprising facts and insights waiting, and we're going to find them together. Okay, so to really grasp Jackowski's extraordinary world, we have to start right at the beginning, long before he was known for any of this.
Right, back before it all started.
Exactly. He insists, quite strongly actually, that for most of his early life, he wasn't just a skeptic, he was a complete disbeliever.
Hardcore skeptic.
Totally. He claimed that until his late 20s, he completely did not believe in clairvoyance. He even said he would scoff at the person who claimed to have such powers.
Wow, scoffing. That's strong.
It is. And what's even more surprising, given where he ended up, is that his main interest back then was astronomy.
Astronomy. Okay, that's unexpected.
Right. He just devoured books about the cosmos, Jupiter, the moon, the stars. Even though he described himself as uneducated, very humbly. So you have this committed skeptic scoffing at the idea deep into astronomy, who then becomes one of the most recognized clairvoyants out there. That's a huge leap.
It is a massive shift.
What do you make of that initial resistance, that real disbelief in someone who later embodies the very thing they rejected? Is it common?
Oh, it's incredibly common, and it's, profoundly fascinating. So many people who later discover these deep intuitive or, psychic abilities, they often start out as the biggest skeptics.
Really? Why is that?
Well, think about it. Our brains are kind of wired for logic, right? For a material view of the world. So anything that suddenly pops in an intuition, a sensory thing that defies that logic, it often gets dismissed immediately.
Like a defense mechanism.
Exactly. It's cognitive dissonance. The mind struggles. It tries to reconcile this new, unexplainable information with its established worldview. So Jackowski's initial reaction, the scoffing, it's actually completely relatable.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it highlights something key, I think. Sometimes the most profound truths, they don't come through abstract thinking or belief. They come through these concrete, undeniable experiences that just force you to reevaluate everything.
Experiences you just can't ignore.
Precisely. His story is a powerful reminder to stay open, even when things seem completely illogical at first.
And those undeniable experiences, they started for him around age 27. He was married, had a daughter, working a tough physical job, 6 a.m. to 2 or 3 p.m.
Long hours.
Yeah, and his world started to shift during a time of intense personal stress. He developed severe neurosis, this really debilitating anxiety, constant worry.
Oh, wow. What triggered that?
It was an extreme fear of being late for work. Apparently, where he lived in Juchao, times were tough, 3 late arrivals, and you'd lose a significant bonus.
High stakes.
Huge stakes for his family. So this fear led to sleepless nights, just tossing and turning, couldn't rest. And it was during one of those restless nights that this peculiar feeling, not a voice, he's clear about that, but a distinct impression came to him.
What was it?
Draw water. Tomorrow there will be no water.
Huh. Specific.
Very. But he admits he initially dismissed it. Like we said, he thought it was just another symptom of his neurosis, his stressed mind playing tricks. He tried to push it away. But then something really extraordinary happened. After trying to ignore the thought, this vivid postcard-like image flashed into his mind.
An image?
Yeah, he calls it a precisely colored picture. It was a dug-up road near a park in Juchao. Workers, and get this, a very specific yellow excavator.
Yellow excavator. Okay, the detail is important.
Super important. The image was so clear, so out of the blue, he actually fell asleep right after seeing it.
Just like that. Poof.
Just like that. Woke up the next morning, checked the tap's water. So he dismissed it again. Just my brain, you know.
Right. Easy to rationalize then.
But when he got home from work, his wife hits him with it. There'd been no water since 8 a.m. that morning.
Oh, okay.
He was shocked, dropped everything apparently, rushed to the spot he'd seen in the vision, and there it was, exactly as he saw it. Yellow excavator, dug up road, the workers.
This whole scene.
The whole scene. The water was fixed by evening, but the impact on him, huge. He said he was shocked, irritated, but also positively stunned by the accuracy.
I bet. That specificity, like you said, the color of the excavator, that's the kicker. It wasn't just a vague hunch. It was detailed, visual information, followed by such precise, quick confirmation. Yeah, that starts to break down that wall of skepticism. Makes it really hard to just wave it off as coincidence.
Right.
What's crucial here is that these weren't, fuzzy feelings. They were concrete data points, immediately verifiable. It's almost like his subconscious, maybe under that intense stress, it just bypassed his logical filters and gave him raw, undeniable info.
Like a direct download.
Kind of. And that's often how these initial awakenings happen, these abrupt, overwhelming moments of clarity that just leave no room for doubt.
And it wasn't just a one-off. The second big jolt came soon after. This time, an unsettling vision about a horse cart accident.
Okay, what happened?
He was just sitting on a bench, Market Square in Chucho, opposite a church, smoking a cigarette. Normal day. A man walks up, asks for a light. As the man gets close, boom. Another vivid, clear image flashes into Jackowski's mind. Totally unbidden, undeniably real.
What did he see this time?
He saw a horse-drawn cart, an old man and woman on it, turning from a dirt road onto a main road, and a truck hitting them. Again, precise, colorful detail.
Wow, okay.
So the man lights his cigarette, walks maybe 10, 15 meters away. Jackowski, feeling like he's, quote, losing my mind, calls him back.
Oh, he told him.
He did. Described the whole vision to this startled stranger. The man was totally taken aback. He asks Jackowski if he's from Silesia, which was the man's home region, because the description was that accurate.
No way.
Yes way. The man then confirmed it. The accident happened a few years ago. The woman sadly didn't survive. He, the man, survived. Wasn't his fault. They apparently drove out in front of him. He said it was still a major trauma for him.
My goodness.
Yeah.
To just relive that through a stranger's vision.
Can you imagine? So two distinct, vivid, immediately verifiable visions. These rapid, unbidden flashes, Jackowski says, they led him to understand with this sort of chilling clarity that there is this gift, that he could somehow read thoughts, read memory, that fundamentally everything is information and everything can be read.
And that second instance, it just solidifies the first one, doesn't it? It cements the reality of this ability for him.
That too.
The key insight for us here, I think, is how that direct interaction with another person could trigger something so vivid, so accurate, whether it's precognition or retrocognition, seeing the past. It really suggests this deeply interconnected field of information.
It's information.
Exactly. That phrase becomes his foundational philosophy, doesn't it? It's not magic, in his view. It's about accessing this latent information that exists all around us, maybe imprinted on people or objects. These early undeniable experiences, they shifted him. He went from being this passive receiver of weird flashes to someone who started to actively engage with this emerging ability. He had proof, undeniable proof. And that proof just compelled him to explore it further.
Right. So after those experiences, which you just couldn't ignore, he had to figure out, well, how does this work? How can I maybe harness this?
Yeah, moving from accidental visions to something more intentional.
Exactly. It wasn't just about passively receiving things anymore. It became about actively seeking information, often to help people find missing loved ones. Which brings us to the practical side, the almost ritualistic aspects of his work, his tools of the trade, so to speak.
Okay, what does he use?
He explains that to connect with a missing person, he needs personal items. And crucially, he prefers items that are not washed after last wearing, something close to the body.
Ah, the unwashed item. That's a classic element in psychometry.
He mentions a sweatshirt or shirt as ideal. Why that emphasis, do you think? The unwashed, close to the body thing, what's the theory there?
Well, it connects directly to that idea of psychometry, like I said, which is basically the ability to read information from an object just by touching it or being near it.
So the object holds information.
That's the theory. The idea is that an object, especially one worn right against the skin, absorbs or gets imprinted with the energy, the emotions, the experiences of its owner. It acts like a sort of energetic fingerprint or an informational antenna.
Like a memory stick for personal data.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And the unwashed part. That just reinforces the direct, undiluted link. You want the clearest signal possible, right? Without interference. It becomes a focal point, helping him tune into that specific person's frequency, if you will.
And he describes a very physical connection during his process. He says he smells it, holds it close to the forehead. He even says it's as if I'm convincing myself I'm inhaling something.
Interesting phrasing.
Yeah, and he feels distinct physical sensations while doing this. Forehead kneading, sometimes tingling, sometimes pulsating. He even demonstrated this with the interviewer's watch, saying the watch was a key to his psyche. What do you think is happening there with those physical feelings, the tingling, the pulsating?
It sounds intense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And those physical sensations are incredibly interesting. From a maybe neurological or even an energetic perspective, these could represent a state of heightened awareness. Like he's literally tuning his body into a specific frequency.
His body reacting to the information.
Possibly. The forehead kneading, or tingling, might be his system's way of signaling that he's entering a specific altered state of consciousness, one that's optimized for picking up these subtle informational cues. It's not just mental, it seems profoundly physical, energetic, his whole system engaged.
Like a physical feedback loop.
Could be. Some might even call it a form of synesthesia, where he's feeling information as a physical sensation. Is his body telling him, okay, connection established?
He also makes a really important distinction. He says, I am a clairvoyant, but I am also a medium. He believes the two connect.
Okay, how does he define the difference?
He sees mediumship as a link between this world and that world. But he clarifies it's not necessarily contact with souls in the way people usually think of it.
Right, not seances and ghosts talking back.
No. He describes it more as a telepathic verbal contact that happens during his visions. He stresses he's always aware that the person was dead, only their body needed to be found. So it's like accessing information related to the deceased, maybe even their last thoughts or location, but not a two-way chat with the spirit.
That's a really important nuance. People often lump clairvoyance and mediumship together, but his personal definition helps clarify his specific experience. Clairvoyance is clear-seeing, past, present, future. Mediumship is typically connecting with spirits.
But for him, they overlap.
Exactly. It's like the information trace of the deceased person is still accessible. It's more about data retrieval. Where are they? What happened? Than having a conversation with their conscious spirit as we understand it. And this raises a really powerful question for you, the listener. What does this suggest about the persistence of information after death? If someone's essence or informational trace remains accessible enough to help locate their physical remains, well, that implies our existence leaves some kind of indelible mark.
A mark on reality itself.
Perhaps. It challenges that purely materialist view that everything just stops at death. It hints at a kind of energetic imprint that can still be read. It really pushes us to think about what existence even means and where information truly resides.
Okay, so with that understanding of his method, let's move from the theory and the personal stuff to the concrete reality of his work, which is often heartbreaking.
Yeah, these cases are intense.
And they really are. It's in these detailed accounts that his abilities become strikingly real. They led to discoveries that just defy conventional explanation. These are the moments that took him from being, a curiosity to someone with a profound, if sometimes controversial, impact.
The proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Exactly. Our first story is one he calls The Gentleman and the Nun. It was a strange double discovery in the city of Olsztyn. It started in winter. A middle-aged couple came to him, desperate. Their son had vanished. Just went downstairs to smoke a cigarette, never came back.
Oh, terrible. Just disappeared.
Gone. They gave Jackowski a photo and, crucially, an unwashed sweatshirt. Perfect for his method. So he followed his routine, took the sweatshirt, asked the parents to leave for an hour, and started his process. Smelling it, holding it to his forehead. He mentioned his mind first jumped to logical things. Maybe the boy ran away.
Irrational explanations.
Right, but he dismissed those, said they weren't a vision. A true vision, he explained, has to surprise him. It can't be just deduction.
It has to come from outside his own thinking.
Precisely. Then suddenly he got a rapid flash. Water, artillery, river.
Okay.
He immediately grabbed a map, checked the location in Olsztyn, found the Una River, found Artilleriska Street, Artillery Street. It was a blind alley, a big school nearby. He then pinpointed a specific spot where he felt the body was.
Very precise directions.
Incredibly precise. The parents, hopeful, took this information straight to the police. But then, days later, a local newspaper ran a story.
What did it say?
It said, Jackowski indicated a place near Artilleriska, but there was supposed to be a boy's body, and they found the body of a nun.
A nun. Not the boy. Whoa.
Can you imagine the confusion, the self-doubt? He's holding the boy's sweatshirt, sees the location, and they find someone else entirely.
Oh, man, that must have shaken him.
He said it did. He thought, Jackowski, how could you? Holding a boy's things, find someone else. This is just a coincidence. This isn't clairvoyance. He almost dismissed his own ability right there.
Wow. That's a major challenge to his own belief in what he does. What does a twist like that suggest about the information he's tapping into? Could it be like interference or misdirection?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah, it moves us beyond just hit or miss. It suggests something more complex, maybe. Maybe informational resonance.
No.
Or like a proximity bleed.
Proximity bleed. Explain that.
Well, maybe the object isn't only tied to the missing person. Maybe it's also linked to other significant events or people strongly associated with that specific location or the event itself.
So the boy's info led him to the area.
Right. And once his focus was on that spot, maybe the stronger, more recent, or more emotionally charged signal in that exact place was the nun's death. It momentarily obscured the boy's signal.
Like tuning a radio and getting the loudest station first.
Kind of. It suggests the information isn't always neat and tidy. It's maybe more like a layered tapestry. Even for someone like Jackowski, it's not always a straight line.
That makes a strange kind of sense. And despite this public mix-up and his own internal crisis, the parents actually came back to him.
They still believed.
They did. They said, we trust you because there really was a body found where you said. They asked him to try again.
Wow, their faith must have meant a lot.
Must have. So he tried again. He still felt the boy was in the river, but this time he sensed the word radio.
Radio.
Yeah. He looked at the map again, found Radio Street near the river, right where the Olsztyn TV and radio building was located. He directed them to the riverbank, but on the opposite side from Radio Street.
Another specific spot.
Exactly. The very next day, police found the boy's body on the underwear on the shallows right there on that riverbank.
Unbelievable. He found him.
He did. And Jackowski later developed his own theory about the nun. He speculated that she was elderly, walked by the river daily. She probably saw the boy's body from the high bank, maybe tried to get help or reach him, slipped, fell into the water in her heavy habit, and drowned.
Oh my goodness.
So in his view, the boy's information somehow led him first to the nun who had encountered the boy's body, and she in turn acted like a pointer back to the boy. He called the boy a gentleman among the deceased for leading him this way.
That's an incredible way to piece it together afterwards. It's not just seeing, it's interpreting these complex layered events.
Right.
It adds another dimension to his ability. Synthesis, interpretation. The key insight seems to be that information from these events, even tragic ones, can leave these persistent traces that intertwine in unexpected ways. What we see as linear time might be much more fluid in that energetic realm he accesses. It really challenges our neat ideas of cause and effect.
It really does. Okay, the second case also happened in Olsztyn a few months later. This time, a drowned policeman.
Another water-related case.
Seems to be a common theme. He was driving to Warsaw when he got a private call from an Olsztyn policeman. A colleague was missing, several days gone. Jackowski agreed to help, but needed an item.
The usual requirement.
Right. So, get this. A bus driver actually delivered the missing policeman's shirt and photo to Warsaw. A policewoman met Jackowski near Zuri Terasy, a huge, busy shopping center.
Okay, so not exactly a quiet, contemplative setting.
Not at all. It was a crowded Sunday. He couldn't just openly, smell the shirt like usual. He told his wife, Kasia, who was with him, to go grab a coffee while he sort of mingled in the crowd to do his ritual discreetly.
Trying to work amidst chaos.
Exactly. And amidst all those people, without concentrating, he said, suddenly, bang, another clear flash.
What did he see this time?
A housing estate of single-family homes, a 200-meter strip of wasteland, blocks of flats, a pond closer to the blocks. He said his imagination fell into that pond, and everything was clear.
Wow. Even with all the distraction. So is it possible that the crowd noise, the chaos, actually helped him tune out his own internal chatter and just receive? Or is it just that the vision was that strong?
Good question.
I suspect it's a bit of both. Sometimes that background white noise can paradoxically quiet the conscious mind, stop it from overthinking, like focusing better with ambient music on.
Yeah, I get that.
But ultimately, it really speaks to the intensity of his visions when they hit. The key takeaway is his abilities aren't fragile. They don't need perfect lab conditions. They can cut right through the noise, suggesting a really robust connection to that informational field he talks about. The vision just overpowered the distractions.
So he immediately called the policeman back in Olsztyn, described the vision emotionally, but the reaction...
Let me guess, skeptical.
Very cold, Jackowski said. Dismissive. Driving home that night, Jackowski felt awful. Thought he'd made a blunder. Completely lost their faith.
The emotional roller coaster again.
Totally. But the next day, around 3 p.m., the mother of the missing policeman called Jackowski.
Ah, the family reaching out directly.
Yes. She confirmed the police had actually been searching that exact area he described, the wasteland between the houses and blocks. Why? Because her son had been at a party in one of those single-family homes and was known to take that shortcut.
Okay, so the location was spot on.
Absolutely. But, she said, the police searched the pond with pontoons, grappling hooks, found nothing. They apparently told her, if a dead cat was in there, we would have found it.
Oof, dismissive again.
Yeah. But Jackowski, even after the cold shoulder from the police contact and their failed search, he insisted. He told the mother, since all the elements matched, he must be there. He asked her to tell the police to have just one officer strip and enter the shallow pond to search with his feet.
Get in and feel around. Old school.
Basically, yeah. Amazingly, a policeman agreed to do it. Jackowski hung up. Later that day, the editor of the Super Express newspaper called him.
Jackowski.
They were about to pack up. Exactly, the body was there, found by the officer searching with his feet.
Incredible. His persistence, despite the dismissal.
It paid off.
His persistence and the mother's trust really drove that outcome. It highlights that recurring clash, doesn't it? Institutional skepticism versus the desperate need for answers from families.
Yeah. Police rely on their methods.
Understandably. Conventional, empirical methods. But when those fail, and someone like Jackowski provides such specific, verifiable details, it creates this real tension. The key insight, maybe, is that even when faced with resistance, concrete results can force a shift in perception. It's a prompt for us, the listeners maybe, to stay open to different approaches when the usual ones hit a wall, even if they challenge our neat little boxes.
Definitely food for thought. These cases, though, they clearly take a huge toll. Which brings us to the third one, the Trinsa tragedy. This one really shows the price, as he puts it, of these visions.
Okay, this sounds heavy.
It is. It happened after Christmas, before New Year's. A frantic mother called from Trinsa in the Podkarpacki region. Her daughter had run off with 2 friends, one underage, supposedly, to a New Year's Eve concert. They had no idea where.
Every parent's nightmare.
Totally. Jackowski was actually planning to visit his granddaughter. His first thought was logical. Where would kids go for a concert? Warsaw, maybe? But then, as he stood by a table, he was hit by this terrifying vision.
What did he see this time?
A tangle of bodies, arms, legs, water, a tight car. He saw a small car driving over a bridge, immediately turning onto a dirt road along the river, and then just falling into the river. He quickly found Trinsa on a map, identified the Wisik River, saw 2 bridges, and a connecting dirt road. He pinpointed 2 possible spots where this could have happened. The level of detail again, always the detail. But the emotional impact was instant. He called the mother back, had to tell her, I see this badly. She was so distraught she passed the phone to her husband. Jackowski scanned the map, sent it to them. Then he left to see his granddaughter, his mind just reeling.
Carrying that awful knowledge.
Guess. Driving home later that night after 10 p.m., the mother called again. She and neighbors were walking by the river with flashlights but couldn't see anything. He told them, go to the police in the morning. Then he pulled his car over at an isolated bus stop. He described this moment as just agony.
The weight of it.
He said he was cursing himself, yelling in the car, what did you tell them? How could you kill 3 children? Are you normal? What if you're wrong? This, he said, this is the price. His own logic attacking him, making him a hostage to his own vision, feeling like a madman. That description, on the border of madness, what does that reveal about the human cost?
It reveals everything. It speaks volumes about the immense psychological weight, the crushing responsibility that comes with this. It's not some cool superpower. It's an intense, often agonizing burden, especially with tragic outcomes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine holding that kind of terrible certainty, feeling it so intensely, then having to deliver that news to grieving parents, knowing the impact of your words? His internal battle, the logic attacking him, that's such a human reaction to dealing with overwhelming, unconventional information. The key insight is clear. Extraordinary abilities often demand an extraordinary emotional and mental price. It puts the person right on the border of madness, like he said. It really humanizes it, strips away any glamour.
For sure. So the next morning, the police, predictably, were reluctant, acting on a clairvoyant's vision, not standard procedure.
Understandable from their perspective.
But the mayor of Trinsa, a man named Ryszard Jutrich, stepped in. He basically told the police, if you don't search based on this, I'll rally the townsfolk and we'll do a social search ourselves.
Wow, the mayor believed it.
Or at least felt the pressure to act. The police agreed. They went to the first spot Jackowski had marked on the map, and right there, they found torn turf, as if something had overturned.
Physical evidence matching the vision's location.
Exactly. Soon after, police boats on the river found something submerged. Hours later, they pulled the vehicle out. Inside, 5 bodies.
5, not 3.
5. The 3 girls plus 2 boys. Turns out the driver was unlicensed, intoxicated. They'd likely taken the dirt road to avoid the main road because of his condition and tragically went into the river.
Just devastating.
Absolutely. The mayor went on TV, publicly confirmed Jackowski's help was crucial. But then, in a move that just feels unfair, the spokeswoman for the Podkarpacki Provincial Police issued an official statement.
Let me guess.
No clairvoyant helped the police in this matter.
Ugh, the official denial. Despite the mayor's statement.
Despite the outcome, Jackowski just called it not fair. It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? Public acknowledgement versus official denial. Why does that happen, do you think? That institutional pushback, even with results. And for listeners, what are the usual skeptical arguments here?
That's a really important point. The institutional resistance often boils down to rigid adherence to protocols. Police work relies on empirical evidence, established procedures. Clairvoyance just doesn't fit.
It's outside the rulebook.
Completely. Officially acknowledging his help. That could be seen as validating something unscientific, opening them up to ridicule or challenges. It's often easier to just deny it publicly.
And the skeptical arguments.
Well, skeptics might point to confirmation bias. Maybe Jackowski has many visions and we only hear about the hits. Or they'd argue the police were probably searching the general area anyway and his info just happened to coincide. Or maybe the torn turf would have been found eventually regardless. They look for conventional explanations to maintain that standard view of reality.
Right. But this story has another twist. A law student named Krzysztof Jackowski was bothered by these official denials. He took police documents Jackowski had posted online confirmations from other cases, sent them to the National Police Headquarters, and basically said, if these are fake, prosecute him.
Bold move.
Very. And he got an official reply back. Jackowski actually reads it in the interview. It says, essentially, in the Olsztyn province, 3 cases were recorded where, in the opinion of the interested units, the place where the bodies were found was close to the clairvoyance indications. It also mentions 2 other cases in Radom where families requested his help via the police, and the bodies were found where he indicated, and it's signed by the head of the Search and Identification Department.
Wow. An official police document acknowledging his input, even if cautiously worded.
Exactly. Undeniable proof, despite the public skepticism in cases like Trinsa.
That official document is huge. It elevates these from just anecdotes to formally acknowledged instances. It's not just Jackowski claiming success. It's an internal police assessment saying, yeah, his info was close, it was relevant.
It validates his contribution.
It does. The key insight here is that verifiable evidence, even from unconventional sources, can eventually force a reevaluation. It makes us confront the limits of our current models and consider phenomena we don't fully understand or easily categorize. It's a powerful statement about truth persisting, even against institutional resistance.
So, beyond these dramatic cases and the back and forth with officials, Jackowski's gift, or maybe burden, profoundly shapes his personal life, his whole worldview.
It would have to, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. He talks about the price beyond just the agony of the tragic visions. He remembers childhood quirks. His mother called him a weirdo.
Oh dear. Not easy for a kid.
No. He felt compelled to smooth sharp corners on furniture. Couldn't stand knives or scissors pointed at him, says he still has that today. He talked about breathing the moon, having secret incantations. All these peculiarities bothered him back then.
What do those kinds of childhood things suggest? especially the sensitivity to shapes and points.
What do you think?
Well, they sound absolutely fascinating and actually quite typical for children who turn out to be highly sensitive or have unique intuitive abilities. These aren't just random oddities. They often represent an early, maybe unconscious attempt to navigate or manage an overwhelming sensory or energetic world.
Like trying to control the input.
Exactly. Smoothing sharp corners could be a subconscious reaction to perceived energetic sharpness or harshness. The thing with pointed objects. Maybe a heightened sensitivity to intention or focused energy. And breathing the moon, secret incantations that hints at a natural, instinctual connection to unseen forces, or a desire to influence his reality in ways he didn't consciously understand yet.
So early signs of a different wiring.
Precisely. The key insight is they aren't just weird behaviors. They're often the first raw expressions of an extraordinary sensitivity trying to find its footing in a world not really built for it.
And this unusual path, it seems, has led to a fairly solitary life. He lives alone in a small town. Even though he has siblings living right there, he says he has no contact with them.
Really? No contact at all?
He tried reaching out, he said, but nothing came of it. He speculates that this, and having only a few friends, might be because people feel uncomfortable. They know what he does, maybe they fear he sees everything, might read something personal they don't want known.
The burden of knowing, or others thinking you know everything.
Yeah. That's a really poignant side effect, isn't it? The very gift that connects him so deeply to strangers in crisis kind of isolates him from everyday relationships.
It's deeply poignant, and it's a common struggle, sadly, for people with abilities like his. That perception by others that you might know too much, it can just create these huge barriers.
It's hard to build trust.
Exactly. Trust relies on privacy, on choosing what you reveal. If people worry you can bypass that, it builds walls. The insight for us is that even the most extraordinary gifts can carry a heavy social price tag. His story is a reminder that profound differences, even powerful ones, can lead to isolation, which makes finding genuine connection even more precious.
And speaking of genuine connection, amidst all this, he did find profound love with his wife, Kasia. He met her 17 years ago. And get this, their meeting was actually prophesied to him.
He foresaw meeting her?
No, not him. It was a younger friend he was mentoring. This friend, after Jackowski asked him to focus, predicted Jackowski would have a much younger, blonde, slender wife who would have a small girl in her arms, be named Kasia, and come from a town with a lot of military.
Whoa, that's incredibly specific. What did Jackowski think?
He initially dismissed it completely, called it nonsense, even told the friend to get lost.
Huh. The skeptic strikes again.
Right. But months later, a different waitress at a local cafe, not Kasia, asked him to look at a photo of her friend. He wrote a note for this friend about some decision she was wrestling with, basically saying her choice was correct and justified, and adding she would meet a man with whom she will live stably and happily. He signed it, Jackowski.
Okay, setting the stage.
Totally. Later, he met Kasia properly at that same cafe. There was a 19-year age difference, but he said he felt such closeness instantly, as if I had known someone for a long time.
That feeling of recognition.
Exactly. And then he realized all the details from his friend's prophecy fit perfectly. Kasia, blonde, slender, had a young daughter named Kasia, and was from Debrecno, a town known for an old military airport and a large military settlement.
Every single detail matched. Unbelievable.
Every single one. He says they've been together day to day for 17 years. They don't argue. They understand everything. He describes her as humble, hardworking, pure, calls her his soulmate, says, if I die, I already don't want to be with anyone else.
Wow. That's a truly remarkable story. A personal prophecy that detailed coming true. It really highlights the sheer range of precognition, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not just finding bodies or predicting disasters, but foreseeing deeply personal, life-changing events.
Yeah, it's a different scale.
It also underscores how these abilities, even when dismissed at first, might subtly guide our paths. The key insight here is maybe that life's most profound connections can sometimes be glimpsed beforehand, hinting at a kind of synchronicity, maybe even destiny, in our journeys. It shows that even for someone living so far outside the norm, finding that deep, fated connection is possible and maybe even more intensely felt because of the surrounding isolation.
That's beautifully put. And his own children, they seem to show hints of similar sensitivities, too.
Oh, really? Following in his footsteps?
Not exactly. His daughter apparently has intuitive flashes, but she keeps them hidden, doesn't talk about them. She works in cosmetology dermatology, focusing on skin and finger care for the elderly. His son is described as ambitious, fluent in English and Dutch, a professional guitarist, but also a manager for a big scaffolding company in the Netherlands. He has 2 kids, making Jackowski a grandfather. He also apparently has intuitive flashes, but, like his sister, doesn't really engage with them openly.
Interesting. Both have flashes, but neither pursues it. Does that suggest maybe a genetic link? Or is it more about growing up in an environment where these things are at least implicitly acknowledged?
What's your take?
It's probably a mix of both, wouldn't you think? There's definitely research exploring whether high sensitivity or intuitive capacity might have a heritable component, so genetics could play a part.
Nature.
Right. But then there's nurture. Growing up in a home where these abilities are real, where your parent demonstrably has them, even if you don't talk about it openly, that environment normalizes it. It creates a space where your own flashes might seem less weird or scary, more integrated into how you see the world.
So it doesn't get shut down early.
Exactly. The key insight might be that intuition isn't some rare mutation. It's probably a spectrum, a more widespread human capacity than we usually admit, potentially shaped by both our genes and our upbringing.
So all these decades of intense experiences, they've inevitably led Jackowski to develop this really unique philosophical outlook on life, death, human potential. The big questions.
You'd have to develop some kind of framework to make sense of it all.
Right. He's moved way beyond just accepting his gift. He's built a broader theory of reality. After 40 years of practice, he's concluded that we are walking radars. And get this, we are all telepaths.
All of us.
Wow. That's his conviction. Not just him, everyone.
Yeah.
He firmly believes everything is information and everything can be read. It paints this picture of a deeply interconnected universe, information constantly flowing, available if you can just tune in. That's a massive leap from being the guy who scoffed at clairvoyance, isn't it?
Huge leap. And what are the implications if that were true? If we're all walking radars, all telepaths?
Changes everything, doesn't it?
Fundamentally, it would alter our entire understanding of human interaction, of consciousness itself. It means we're constantly sending and receiving information, not just through words or body language, but on some subtler, maybe energetic level.
Our gut feelings might be actual data reception.
Precisely. The key insight is that perception and communication could be far richer, far more complex than our 5 senses suggest. It encourages us to pay much closer attention to those subtle cues, those intuitions. Maybe they're genuine signals from that informational field he describes.
He even takes it a step further. He agrees with his wife, Kasia, that everyone to some extent could develop the gift of clairvoyance. Maybe not to his level, but the potential is there.
He thinks it's trainable.
Seems so. He's noticed that people who spend a lot of time around him start to have flashes themselves. Suggests maybe an environmental effect or a resonance that can awaken these latent abilities in others.
That's fascinating. Like it's contagious in a way.
Kind of. This perspective really shifts clairvoyance away from being this rare, almost supernatural thing towards being a fundamental, maybe just undeveloped human potential. So not a gift for a chosen few, but something maybe we all could tap into.
Exactly. And this is crucial for you, the listener, because it democratizes the whole concept. It moves it from gift, something you either have or don't, to capacity or potential that maybe can be developed.
Like a muscle.
Very much like a muscle. His observation about people around him getting flashes is really compelling. It hints at an energetic attunement, maybe, that can be caught or learned. The insight is powerful. Our intuitive muscles might actually strengthen with practice, with awareness, maybe just by being in an environment where these things are acknowledged. It empowers us to explore our own inner landscape without feeling like we need to be special or chosen.
Now, having such a powerful ability obviously brings up huge ethical questions. And Jackowski seems very aware of this. He maintains really strict boundaries.
As you should.
He says he doesn't try to use his abilities for his own life. He compares it to a tattoo artist taking an arrow from himself, not to himself. Like, he shouldn't interfere with his own fate using the gift.
A principle of non-interference for personal gain.
Right. And even more importantly, he stresses a deep respect for privacy. He never tries to enter people or read them without their explicit permission. He calls it stealing, an invasion of someone's home by force. He's adamant there must be consent.
That's an absolutely vital ethical code. And it's a clear model for anyone exploring sensitivities like these. Not using it for personal benefit shows a strong moral compass, recognizing that power brings responsibility, demands impartiality, service, and the unwavering insistence on consent, paramount. The key insight here is profound. If everything is information, then personal boundaries, psychic privacy, become even more sacred. It's a powerful reminder that even if these unseen connections exist, respect for individual autonomy is fundamental. These abilities, however extraordinary, must be wielded with absolute integrity.
His most maybe philosophical ideas revolve around life after death. He calls it the world of imagination. He is completely convinced that we live after death.
Okay, what's his theory? It sounds unconventional.
It is. He says we are still sitting in that world, not this one. And here on Earth, we are only such a probe here.
A probe, like we're remotely experiencing this life.
Kind of. He uses an analogy. In the material world, atoms are the building blocks. But in the world of energy, the fundamental building block is imagination.
Imagination, as the fabric of reality.
As the building block, yeah. He sees earthly life as a kind of game. We come here to play a certain game called material life, and when we die, we return to our land of imagination. It's a truly radical idea, isn't it? Imagination not just as a mental faculty, but as the literal substance of another reality, and us just being probes dipping into this material game.
It is radical.
Yeah.
And it profoundly challenges our standard materialist view of consciousness and what happens after death. His perspective, born from his own experiences, offers this unique model that resonates with that deep human urge to understand these mysteries. The key insight is his redefinition of imagination. It's not just daydreaming. It's a fundamental creative force that actually constructs reality in another dimension. And if we're just probes, it suggests a larger pre-existing consciousness we come from and return to, experiencing material life as this immersive temporary game. It's a powerful concept that invites us to really reconsider who we are and what the purpose of this journey might be.
And in his view, there's no traditional hell or heaven. He questions whether a perfect God would create a flawed world that needs a hell.
A logical inconsistency in his view.
Right. Instead, he believes hell is temptations, thinking. It's internal. He gives an example. An SS officer who knowingly sent people to their deaths wouldn't face a fiery pit. Instead, after death, he would confront his own reality of self, burdened by the full weight of everything he experienced, a personal, inescapable reckoning.
That internal reckoning idea, it aligns with many spiritual traditions emphasizing personal accountability, karma, the idea that our actions and intentions shape our reality here and hereafter. It's more psychological than punitive.
Yeah, makes sense.
The key insight is that the true judgment, or maybe the true balancing, comes from within. Consciousness itself is responsible for processing its own experiences, not subject to some external reward or punishment. It really emphasizes the profound power and consequence of our inner world.
Now, despite these very non-traditional views on the afterlife, Jackowski identifies as a believer. He was raised Christian.
Okay.
But his travels, he's been to Arab countries, Japan, experienced different religions. They broadened his perspective enormously. He now feels that faith is something very general.
Beyond specific doctrines.
Exactly. He rejects the idea that, you believe in this, you believe in that, so one gets saved and the other doesn't. For him, real faith is about feeling faith within oneself. And how does he define that feeling? As understanding another human being, extending that empathy even to animals.
Wow. Faith is empathy.
Yeah. He recalls seeing people in Japanese temples clapping or bowing gently. He understood it as humility. They believe that God only looks at us, so they act humbly, wanting only to be noticed by showing they are just a small margin in the grand scheme. This deep humility, this universal empathy that seems to be the core of his spirituality now.
That's a beautiful culmination, isn't it? Moving beyond dogma to this deeply personal, empathetic understanding. Defining faith as understanding another human being, even animals.
Yeah.
It puts interconnectedness and compassion right at the center.
Totally.
And that Japanese example of humility, acknowledging our small place, not demanding attention, it's powerful. The key insight for us maybe is that true spirituality often transcends rigid beliefs. It finds its most profound expression in empathy, humility, and recognizing our shared existence with all life. It's a powerful call for us to cultivate that kind of compassion in our own lives.
Okay, let's shift gears now to maybe Krzysztof Jackowski's most public and often, stark contributions, his world predictions.
The part that gets a lot of attention and controversy.
Definitely controversial. But they are grounded in his unique method, and as we've discussed, they do have this unsettling track record of accuracy sometimes. He points to a significant prediction he made back in 2019, around September, October. He stated clearly on his channel, 2019 is the last relatively normal year in the world. From 2020, it will be abnormal.
Wow, that's chillingly accurate given what happened next.
Right. The global pandemic hit. Then war, inflation, this whole cascade of events that undeniably made the world feel abnormal.
No question about that.
He also mentioned a recurring phrase he'd used for years, that shortly before a great war, people in Poland and Europe will be afraid to breathe. He admits he never truly understood those words himself.
Until
Until the pandemic. Masks, fear of airborne transmission. People literally became afraid to breathe freely around each other. It was a striking, unexpected, literal fulfillment of a symbolic vision.
That's fascinating when a symbolic vision translates so concretely. What does that tell us about foresight? Is it always literal or sometimes more like poetry that finds an unexpected rhyme in reality?
What do you think?
I think it suggests foresight operates in layers. It's not always a direct photo of the future. Sometimes it's a powerful metaphor, a deeply felt impression that captures the essence of what's coming, and then reality manifests it in a surprising way.
Like the afraid to breathe, capturing the feeling of restriction and fear.
Exactly, which the pandemic then fulfilled literally. The key insight is that foresight might mix the symbolic and the literal. We need an open mind for interpretation, looking beyond the obvious for the underlying meaning, not just dismissing it if it doesn't look like a straightforward news report.
Makes sense. Looking ahead, he's made a heavy statement about 2025. He called it the cursed year.
Oof, that's a strong label.
Isn't it? He said at the beginning of this year that he believes something will happen in the world that we will call it a cursed year. He genuinely hopes he's wrong, he adds.
A cursed year. What kind of events might lead to that, and how should we even process a forecast like that? Sounds pretty bleak.
It does.
Well, a label like cursed implies something major. Significant global disruption, maybe widespread hardship, conflict, perhaps unforeseen natural disasters, something that impacts almost everyone negatively.
Yeah.
When we hear a forecast like that, it's crucial not to just fall into fear or fatalism. Maybe approach it as a potential warning, a signal for heightened awareness. The key insight isn't about predicting the specific disaster, but about considering our own resilience, our preparedness, our collective response if challenges arise. It's more a call to foster community and adaptability, maybe, than to just wait for doom.
A call to be ready, not just scared.
Exactly.
He's also made specific political forecasts, particularly concerning Poland. Back in September of the previous year, he predicted the next president would be an unknown man, physically strong, chosen by Poles, but who would ultimately betray Poles. He noted the current president fit the unknown part when the prediction was made. He also made a prediction about Donald Tusk, saying if another candidate, Jackowski, lost the election, it would mark the most fatal time for Mr. Tusk in his career, possibly a certain end to his politics. Jackowski feels this is largely played out.
Okay.
And looking at the current coalition government in Poland, he predicts the first insidious, bribing attack on the coalition may take place in late autumn of this year, which could even lead to early elections. These are very specific, very political predictions. How do we, as listeners, engage with this kind of information impartially? Just understand what he's saying without getting caught up in the politics itself.
That's the challenge, right? It's essential to view these as insights from his unique, clairvoyant perspective, not as political endorsements or critiques we need to agree or disagree with. We're reporting what he perceives.
Just laying out his vision.
Exactly. The key insight for us isn't about who's right or wrong politically. It's about observing the patterns he describes, the rise of unknowns, the cycles of political careers, the inherent vulnerabilities within coalitions. These dynamics are always present in politics, regardless of the specific players.
Looking at the mechanics, not just the names.
Right. His predictions offer a lens, maybe a strange one, but a lens to watch political dynamics unfold. They prompt us to think critically about how power shifts, how leaders emerge, how political landscapes change, without necessarily adopting his specific forecast or any partisan view.
Okay, that's helpful. Globally, his outlook is also pretty unsettling. He believes we are living in World War II right now, currently two-front with the conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. He hopes it ends soon, but
he sees more trouble ahead.
Yeah. He specifically flags the period 2024 to 2028 as the time of greatest threat of local serious wars or even a global war.
Why then? What does he see driving that?
He attributes it to a new reshuffle in the world. Things like the rise of the BRICS countries, China's growing influence, the move towards digital currencies, and significantly changes in political leaders globally. He also comments on figures like Donald Trump, calling his actions political convulsions. He mentions Trump's strangely incomprehensible weakness for Putin. and what he perceives as Trump's weakness of faith in America, the dollar, the American economy, almost a fear of the new that is coming into the world.
Interesting psychological assessment there.
And he has a warning for Europe. He says Europeans live quite comfortably, but it's an illusion of splendor that could be shattered from one day to the next, potentially leading to a harsh reality of crisis and poverty. That's a very broad, very troubling global picture. If even some of that instability happens, what are the implications for everyday life?
Oh, the implications are huge. If that 2024-2028 period does bring intensified conflict or major economic reshuffles, think about the impact. Supply chains disrupted, energy markets volatile, financial instability. That means higher inflation, maybe resource shortages, shifts in global power that affect everything.
Trickles down fast.
Instantly. That illusion of splendor comment about Europe, it's a stark warning about how fragile our perceived comfort might be. The key insight is that global events are deeply interconnected. Changes in one region, shifts in alliances, they create ripples everywhere. It can dramatically alter individual lives through economic hardship, increased insecurity, forcing us to adapt whether we want to or not. It really calls for a greater awareness of global interdependence and maybe building more personal and community resilience.
Definitely. Finally, he touches on something very current, the rise of artificial intelligence.
AI, everyone's talking about it. What's his take?
He sees current AI as basically a toy that learns, just absorbing everything humans feed it, like a child learning, but he points to the telemedicine example.
Oh, the pandemic shit.
Exactly. How e-consultations and e-prescriptions became normal during COVID and just stayed. He sees that as a signal of a fundamental shift in how services get delivered. He even had a personal experience. His own voice was cloned by AI, speaking fluent Spanish on YouTube. He was shocked by how good it was.
Wow, that brings it home.
Doesn't it? He predicts AI will replace jobs 100% and very quickly in fields we think of as skilled. Medicine, like dermatology consultations, law, advocates, legal advisors, even teaching.
That's a bold, fast timeline.
It is. He recalls Poland's former Prime Minister Morawiecki saying at the start of the pandemic, the pre-pandemic era has passed. After the pandemic will be a completely different reality. Jackowski wonders now, what did he really mean back then?
A hint of planned transformation.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He also throws in a thought on overpopulation. He argues there is no overpopulation, it's a myth. Says there are vast empty spaces, it's just that agglomerations are overpopulated. An interesting counterpoint.
Jackowski's thoughts on AI and that post-pandemic shift, they feel incredibly relevant right now. The telemedicine example is perfect. It shows how fast norms change under pressure, and those changes often stick.
Yeah, we adapted quickly.
And his voice cloning experience. It just highlights the exponential speed of AI development. It's moving from toy to genuinely transformative, maybe disruptive force very quickly. His prediction about job replacement in skilled fields, that's something we all need to grapple with.
For sure.
The key insight is that this technological change, especially AI, isn't just fast, it's systemic. It's reshaping entire sectors, how we interact with everything, demanding constant learning and adaptation from all of us. And that Morawiecki quote he mentioned, a completely different reality, it's a stark reminder. We're living through a profound transformation, and we're probably only just starting to understand its full implications. #outro.
Wow, okay. That was quite a journey we took today, a real deep dive.
Absolutely, a lot to process.
We've gone through Krzysztof Jackowski's world, from that startling, unexpected start of his abilities, through the incredibly precise, often tragic confirmations, right into his deeply personal philosophy on life, death, potential, and ending with those, frankly, sobering predictions.
From skeptic to seer to philosopher almost.
Exactly. We saw how undeniable experience transformed him, how his meticulous, if unconventional, methods get results, and how his personal views challenge our basic ideas about consciousness. It's heavy stuff. I know I've had quite a few aha moments, maybe more oh wow moments, grappling with it all.
Me too. It definitely makes you think.
So what does all this mean for you, listening right now? Maybe it's a nudge to reflect on your own intuition, on those unexplained moments, on the possibility of this hidden interconnectedness, this flow of information beyond our usual senses. It certainly makes you consider the layers of reality we might be missing. And maybe, just maybe, the potential's lying dormant inside all of us.
And that raises a really important final question for everyone to ponder. If Jackowski is even partially right, if we are all walking radars, maybe even telepaths, and if something like imagination could be a building block of another reality, how might understanding and perhaps cultivating these latent human capacities change our approach to everything?
To knowledge, empathy.
Exactly. to empathy, to how we prepare for an uncertain future. What hidden potentials do we as individuals habitually ignore within ourselves? And what might we gain, individually and collectively, if we found the courage to explore them? It really challenges us to look within and also to look beyond in a world that seems to be constantly revealing unexpected new layers.
A truly thought-provoking place to leave it. Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive. We really hope you found this exploration as fascinating and insightful as we did.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time, keep digging deeper.